record.
All right, everybody, this is SAFC Fan TV. We're doing, me and Michael and Conrad are doing a quick review of the game which just ended. Northampton Town 0, Sunderland 0 from the Sixfield Stadium. Very poor display. After a couple of weeks off, I expected a lot more. I was confident going into the game. Daft me seeing 3-0, 4-0. Jesus Christ, how far wrong was that? We created one chance in the 90 minutes, one shot on goal. Conrad, that's just not acceptable, is it?
No, we said quite early on that we thought they looked a bit sluggish and a bit off the pace. And I likened it to one of your first games in August where you've not played football like competitively in a while. You seem to just be a bit off the pace. Just seem to be like lack of quality on just simple passes, and our crosses went back to just being aimless instead of actually trying to hit people in areas and stuff like that. Just seemed devoid of ideas today, really.
Mm-hmm. It just seemed like you just said there. It seemed like a pre-season game now. Your first game when you come back. I mean, I would just make an excuse to say. I mean, this has been a situation which has been ongoing for a long time now, though, Conrad. I mean, with like us lacking creativity, having our obsession, but not having that spark or that desire to get a goal. I mean, that's been going on long before Lee Johnson's coming, isn't it?
Yeah, we were saying before. I'm like, McGeady was trying to take people on in this, but it was one of them games for McGeady where he just wasn't coming off. He was losing the ball a couple of times while he was doing it there. Diamond was ineffective. Like, I think they just doubled up on him every time that they got the ball. Wyke was isolated, and then we didn't really have Power or Scowen driving on from the midfield. So it was just it just didn't link at the top level really, and no creativity. Didn't get anything.
Michael, 65% ball percentage, but that doesn't mean nothing if you're not going to create any chances and this, that, and the other. This has been happening for a long time now. I think Lee Johnson in the January window. Let's hope he has his hands tied and make some additions, because for me, you kind of keep them at excuses. That team should have won that day. They were underperformed. It was a really poor performance against a side which conceded 15 goals in 5 games. Michael is 6th from bottom. That's not acceptable, mate, is it?
No, it's not the first result we've had this season that's been like that. I know the argument can be made about, the players will be sluggish because of the COVID thing, which again for me is an excuse. Not all of those players will have actually had coronavirus. Obviously, thankful they're back well and fit. Fair enough. That's the most important thing. But it was still poor. There was, like I said, me and Conrad had a mini debate later on in the game about the approach of the game by both teams, and I felt that we agreed that although Sunderland were poor, and it was probably because we were poor, Northampton still put enough guile in my opinion, to deserve the point. From their perspective, good results. For us, terrible results. It's awful. The fact of the matter is, we are expecting to go to places like Northampton and win. Not that we have the right to. Of course we don't. We know fine well we don't have a God-given right to. Results like today can happen. This league, it frustrates me because we've had multiple chances over the last many games we've played to close the gap on the top 2, and we never bothered to take it. And that's going as far back as MK Dons, which was mid-November. We've had chances there to really put a stamp on the mark and get close to that top 2, and we've blown it time after time after time. It's not acceptable. And most of the time, it was a lethargic performance. It was just a lot of players weren't taking responsibility. I'm not saying they weren't trying, but I just don't think they were. The rhythm just wasn't there. You look at that, like you said, one shot on target against a team who conceded 13 goals in their previous 5 games. It speaks for itself for me.
That's what I mean. It's like, but Michael, are we in that situation where we're the biggest side in the league, we're the biggest team outside the Premier League, let's be honest, and when teams play us, it's their cup final. We just don't seem to adapt to that. And teams like that, Northampton, as me and Conrad just discussed just after there, they didn't really do anything apart from just defend. But like, we didn't do anything to win the game either. And if you can't create chances, and you're not going to score goals,
you're going to struggle to win games, aren't you? If you're not going to create chances. That's the point. Like, we all said it on the stream. The game was literally there for the taking.
Of course it was.
It was clear from about 65, 70 minutes that Northampton were just going to put... I mean, I know they were kind of doing it anyway, but they were at least trying to half threaten on the break. But later on in the game, they just sat back and just thought, right, we'll take the point. And what did we do to take the ascendancy? Nothing.
Nothing. I mean, you can see a Conrad. You can blame fatigue. You can say, oh well, they've had to self-isolate, and they've had to they've missed out in training. The sharpness is not there. Do you think that's just clutching at straws? Do you think that's just making excuses? Is this squad, are they good enough? Or is it just been a bad day at the office and Lee Johnson will get it right just because it's been, like you say, the time they've had to self-isolate and the players have not been together. New Year's Eve, the probably had a drink New Year's Eve, some of the players, let's be honest, as well. Do you just think it's one of them days, a bad day at the office, and we'll get it right?
It's a thing of, I think it's still early days for Johnson. I know he's had a bit more time with the squad recently over. They've not been playing, but he hasn't had time on the training pitch with them. Half of them would have been off for that time as well and not allowed in. What game is this for him? 5 now? And if you think
you're talking in the league, it's game 4.
4 or 5. So he had Wigan where he only had a couple of hours. We've had Lincoln, which now is looking like an anomaly of a performance, but we can play like that. So that's what we should aim for. But then you've had, was it Wimbledon was the last one, which was exactly like this. And then you've had this again. And sort of Wigan was kind of like this, apart from they stole a goal from us as well, really. It's that thing of, he still hasn't got us out of this this mentality, I guess, this sort of this way of playing. Because today it felt a little bit like we reverted back to type of, we can't pass a few yards, just hoofing aimless crosses into the box, not aiming for a person, just aiming, if I put it in there, I've done my job. Yeah, you sort of, it's like bottling it as a winger or a right back to go, I've put it in the box, so I've done my job. That's all I needed to do, is instead of actually trying to hit your team or your man, I don't know. I'd like to think he can get it right, and hopefully we make a couple of signings in this, maybe offload one or two of the others, because it just looks like, and I don't want to say this in the way I was talking about Parkinson with no plan B. It looks like that was pretty much his best team, and again we had no other ideas once it wasn't working.
That's what I mean, Conrad. That was probably our best side on paper. And
one or two,
maybe 1 or 2 here and there, but that side was, you look at it going, that's a good side, that should be taken care of, Northampton, no problem. What my problem was today, Michael, was I seen too many players just not sort of committed to the cause, not willing to fight for the shirt. I was just seeing players who, I'm not bothered. Now we need to get rid of that mentality at this football club, because that's been going on for far too long. As we discussed earlier on, Donald Meffin said the piss-taking party stops now. But I think the players have got to look at themselves as well. They've got to be acceptable, and they've got to put the performance in on that pitch. And today, we were just putting the crosses in, but they were just poor crosses. And then you're thinking, I'm not we're not going to score from a set piece. You can say that. So let's try and do something passing. Get a pass to the striker, and that's the only way we're going to score. You knew today we weren't going to score from a corner, a cross, or you know what I mean. We weren't going to score from a set piece, but we still kept on trying. Maybe try something else. Do you know what I mean, Michael?
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's an issue of players not fighting for the shirt, but I do definitely think that a lot of them underperformed. I think a lot of them look at themselves and say we were nowhere near where we should have been today. Like you've said, I know we bring up the stats again, but actually, if you look at it, the stats on BBC have said we had 4 shots on target, 11 shots, which I know contradicts what I said earlier, but that was we were saying that when it was later on in the game. But even then, 4 shots on target to a team that has been conceding a lot of goals recently, and we made it 2
of them were daisy cutters though in the last minute, just rolling it back to their keeper.
Well, basically, yeah. One of them was a long range effort from Power as well, so it was poor. Again. That's why I bang on about it all the time. Take responsibility. I've said it all the time. It's these type of games that will cost you in what your objective is, and irrespective of where we are now, because I don't think we'll make the playoffs now. I don't think. I think I saw Nick Barnes had been speaking to some members at the club, and this was on another YouTube channel that he did, another podcast he did on YouTube. And he basically said that some people at the club had already started to write off this season because of what's happening with outside external factors. Now, for me, you can't afford to do that. You can't afford to just write the season off. You've got to at least have an attempt at trying to go up. Even if the season isn't... But, say hypothetically, worst case scenario, and I think it's a disgrace we're having to think like this, but if the season has to be thought of as written off, make sure you do everything to make sure that side is damn ready for next season to march to mount a title challenge. And I don't just mean mount a title challenge, I mean go out and win the division or at least get top 2. But I've said this the last few years and I'm getting sick of repeating myself. I'm getting bored of it now.
It's like looking at Northampton as well. I mean, the keeper. What I meant to say, you're right. There was 4 shots. I was looking at the stats there. There was 4 shots, but there was 2 of them. I was just rolling to the keeper.
Yeah, 2 of them.
Conrad in the whole of the 90 minutes, right? When did we test that goalkeeper? When did we test him in the front line?
Max Power with his one long ranger in the first half. That was about 20 minutes into the game.
That's what I'm saying.
It took us to like the last 5 to have another daisy cutter to him.
That's just not acceptable. Man. It's like testing the keeper. It didn't even get tested. It was just a long range shot. But like Power done because it was the only thing that was on, and that's just not acceptable. I mean, you should have been working the keeper. Looking at the goals to concede. That should be like, look at lads, wait and score, wait and not just win the game today, wait and score some goals today.
It was a day to tell all the players in the sort of attacking third, shoot on sight. Anything.
Shoot on sight. Exactly. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And it was like, the keeper we didn't even test the keeper. That's a sign of a squad. Which it's desperate. It's desperate for additions in January, Michael. We need to bring players in January. I mean, that's absolutely imperative that will bring players in January, isn't it?
Mm. Yeah, definitely. Sorry, go on, Conrad.
I had nothing else.
Okay. You're both right though. Like again, I've said it on my own YouTube channel. I think I said it on the live stream, live watch along. I'm pretty sure that this is going to define how big this January window is. And when Johnson pretty much said after one game, remember it was one game he said this, which puts massive scrutiny on Ross and Parkinson for me for this. But he said we need pace, we need power, and obviously again, like athleticism, we need these typical attributes to succeed in this division. Now, hopefully, time will tell the next few weeks whether that's just empty words or whether we're actually going to go out and try and get it. In fact, not just try, whether we're going to go and get it. Because we have the same problem every window where we identify what we need, and for some stupid reason, we never get it. I don't know why. Yeah, it's annoying. I mean, you said some of the windows. But anyway, we'll just end this. I'll try and end this on a positive note. Well, I'll try. We're 11th at the minute, and now we've got 4 or 5 games to play in hand. This, that, and the other, for those other teams as well. Conrad, quickly, can we finish in the top 6? I think we're rolling out automatics now.
I mean, the points are still all tight and everyone still all has to play each other because you've got 11 teams between us and the top. So you had Hull Charlton today. I think Ipswich and Peterborough was postponed at one point, and Portsmouth and someone else was postponed. So it's not beyond the realm to get the top 2. But I'd say, the aim is top 6 now and take the lottery at the end. Yeah. Michael, what's your views on that?
If you're going to get into the top 6, make sure, unless you win the playoffs, it's a disaster season again. There's just no other way to say it. Whatever people think of the squad, the aim for Sunderland rightly always has to be go in the top 2, win the league really, but at least get promoted one way or another. And if we don't achieve that, it's a failure again.
Absolutely agree. I mean, I'll just quickly say on that, I think we shouldn't be writing off the automatics, and it's a long shot at the moment. But we've got plenty of games. We've got a January window. Hopefully, it can strengthen. And hopefully,
have to go on a great run to have a chance. Really good.
But I mean, us to not finishing in the playoffs for a second season in this division, what we shouldn't be in the first place, will be like, that's it's just unacceptable on all aspects. It's not good enough at all. I think top 2 we should still be trying to aim for, but realistically, if we get in the playoffs right now, we'll all take it, wouldn't we? Let's be honest.
As long as we won them, yeah. Otherwise, there's no point.
Annoyingly, you can't choose to if you win them if you're in.
But ultimately, if you finish in the playoffs and don't win them, there's no point being there.
I would rather at this point say I'll take them and just run the risk at this point than not being in them at all. Ultimately, I would take being in them and losing them over not being in them at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, anyway. I think our next game is the game we get in the Football League Trophy against Port Vale on Tuesday the 12th. Is that right, Michael? Conrad?
Yeah, that is correct.
I think so.
Because obviously the Fleetwood game's off now, so
the pizza trophy.
And then we've got Wimbledon away on the Saturday the 16th. Fingers crossed that all the squad players is all recovered and that game will go ahead. But anyway, that's the review done. Thanks to Conrad. Myself, Shaun Middleton, and Michael Bowers, and
Conrad Cat.
Conrad's Cat is just stood here.
Disappointing day again for Sunderland Football Club, but we will see you tomorrow night on the Sunday Bunch at 7 p.m. Thanks to everybody who subscribed to our channel. Thanks everybody earlier on the live stream. Thanks for all your comments. It's very much appreciated. Stay safe. All the best for 2021. Let's hope it's a better year for Sunderland Football Club. Stay safe. Bye for now.